Okay, good evening, everyone. I'll be starting momentarily. Okay, Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhasa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhasa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhasa. So today I'm going to talk about the fourth Brahma Vihara, Upekkhā. This is on a different level than the other three. The other three all involve an aspiration. May beings be well and happy. May they be relieved from suffering. May they continue to enjoy the happiness they have found. Whereas Upekkhā does not have any associated aspiration. So in a number of ways, it transcends the other three. It's on a higher plane. The other three all involve some movement of the will to wish that things were to wish that things be better in some way, whereas Upekkhā simply recognizes things as they are, and remains in a peaceful position in the face of reality. Upekkhā as a factor is very important in several different contexts, and we should clarify clarify the context we're talking about is Upekkhā as a Brahma Vihara. But Upekkhā, in its simplest form, can refer to a neutral feeling. The three feelings are Sukha Vedana, Dukkha Vedana, and Asukhama Dukkham, and that's sometimes also called Upekkhā. So this is a very simple expression of dukkha, just not being moved to pleasure, not being moved to pain, but being neutral. And there's nothing particularly spiritually significant about that. It's just the neutrality of the mind, and it's probably the most common of the three Vedanas. I've often thought that if you could possibly keep a running total of your mind moments throughout any given day, there would be some moments of happy feeling, some of painful feeling, and many more of just neutral feeling, some of painful feeling, and many more of just neutral feeling, where you're not really moved to happiness or to suffering. Now, be that as it may, this is the simplest and most basic form of Upekkhā, and in this context, Upekkhā is clearly to be classed in the Vedana category. It's a feeling. There's also Vedana, or I should say, Upekkhā. There's also Upekkhā that can be classified as a sankhara, or as a mental formation. If one develops a feeling of neutrality to a point of having an understanding of like a wise neutrality, a peacefulness. So not allowing oneself to be moved one way or the other. And this has one of its expressions in the process of insight or vipassana meditation in the state that's called tatra majjhatthata, which is translated by Bhikkhu Bodhi as specific neutrality, which catches the meaning quite well. But a literal breakdown of the word would render it as the state of being in the middle about that. And this is a crucial component of being able to see things with the clear vision that is the essence of vipassana, not being moved or affected by the phenomena that arises before the mind, but just seeing them in their own nature as they actually are. And this is a very precise and clear form of Upekkhā. This is also sometimes called Upekkhā towards dhammas, dhammas being objects of consciousness, whereas Upekkhā as a Brahma Vihara, as a divine abiding, is specifically Upekkhā directed towards persons, or more accurately to say, directed towards beings. The traditional contemplation associated with Upekkhā as a Brahma Vihara is to recognize that all beings are the heirs of their karma, they're results of their karma, they live abiding according to the results of their karma, etc. So it's to see beings in samsara as sharing this characteristic that they are subject to karma. So whether they are in a state of suffering or whether they're in a state of happiness, whether they are enjoying a fortunate rebirth or suffering through an unfortunate rebirth, this is all a result of karma. And this karma is a universal factor. All beings are subject to their own karma. This is another way of phrasing this. It's to understand the reality of samsara. Samsara refers to the endless round of birth and death and rebirth. The word samsara derives from the verb samsareti, which means to wander aimlessly in circles. So there's a sense of a cyclicity in samsara, that beings may be enjoying a fortunate rebirth now, but if they are heedless and don't make sufficient merit, they'll be reborn in an unfortunate place next time. And beings are constantly up and down, and without any real solution or resolution in the bounds of samsara. It's a kind of futile existence. There's no ultimate purpose. The ultimate purpose in Buddhism is to get out of that game, to not play it anymore, to realize the unconditioned, to step sideways out of the circle. So developing Upekkhā is just to see that all beings are subject to this samsaric wandering. To have a neutrality about that, it's also could be said to focus on that aspect of beings which is universal. When we consider the multiplicity of beings in the world, we can easily see a great variety. Now, even within the human realm, there's a tremendous variety there of health and sickness, wisdom and foolishness. There's different nationalities. There's different genders. There's different social positions. There's a huge range. And then if we go outside of the human categories and we look at, say, the animal realm, there's a tremendous variation in the animal realm. It's said to be the most variegated of the realms. And then there's the ghosts and hell beings below, and the devas and brahmas above. So there's a very wide range and a lot of diversity in samsara. And this can command our attention when we contemplate beings or observe beings. Our attention is drawn to the differences. But Upekkhā is a mental quality of seeking out that which is universal. Underneath all these varied forms, there is a universal shared condition that they're all subject to their karma, heirs to their karma, and so on. This is just, their various forms are just the playing out of their karma at this time. It's not an inherent characteristic. There are no inherent characteristics. There's only beings experiencing the results of karma. Now it can be asked, how can we practice this as a formal meditation? It's unlike the other three Brahma Viharas in that the other three have a very approachable form for practicing them as meditations. And certainly all four of them we can try to incorporate into our ordinary consciousness as much as we can. The Buddha said that all beings or wise beings always dwell in one of the Brahma Viharas, meaning these are the four emotional states that are skillful. So if you can't arouse compassion or loving kindness or sympathetic joy towards a being, you should at least hold neutrality or Upekkhā. But it still doesn't make it simple to find a way to do this as a meditation. And in fact, in the Visuddhimagga, in the section on the Brahma Viharas, Upekkhā is treated quite differently than the other three and is thought of as a kind of a graduate school. According to the Buddhaghosa, one should have mastery in one of the other three Brahma Viharas before attempting Upekkhā. That seems to me a kind of extreme. I don't think you need to take that literally, but it isn't as approachable as the other three. Now, I did come across a suggestion, and this actually originates, as far as I know, with the Dalai Lama, talking about a way of doing Upekkhā. When he was asked, how does one develop this quality of Upekkhā? And he said that it should be, first of all, developed one being at a time. And the contemplation he suggests is this being just wants happiness, doesn't want suffering. And I thought that was quite skillful. The traditional contemplation to do with beings being subject to karma tends to be very theoretical, and it's difficult to really get a connection to it on a felt level, on a heart level. And what you're really striving for with Upekkhā is to break down the sense of difference between beings and see all beings, whether they're earthworms or humans or devas, to see them all as sharing something in common. And this idea, they just want happiness, don't want suffering. This is a universal that we can actually bring in at a not only an intellectual level, but at an emotional or heart level. We can see that, we can understand that. So I thought that was a skillful way of approaching Upekkhā. So we have these four Brahma Viharas, divine abidings, and all of them, particularly the first three, can be developed as formal meditations, but they should be taken beyond that. You should not think of them as limited to artificial states that you develop when you're sitting on the cushion, but they should be, ideally, they should be the basis of your emotional life, that you approach your relations with the world, with other beings, through the lens of these Brahma Viharas. These are the skillful emotional states. There's a neat summary by analogy that I come across of the Brahma Viharas related to the feelings a mother has towards her child. When the child is a newborn, an infant, the mother feels metta towards the child, just loves him unconditionally. May he be well and happy. Then when he gets a bit older and he's a mobile child running around playing games, sometimes falling down, banging himself, hurting himself, then the mother feels compassion. She feels karuna. She sees the pain of the child when he's in suffering. Then later, when the child is older and he's gone to school and he's out on his own, and beginning to move out more on his own, then she can feel sympathetic joy with mudita, with his success. If he's doing well in school, if he's getting his first job, and so on. And then when he's finally fully adult and he's on his own, perhaps he's married and he's got a family of his own and he has a career, and the mother can sit back and her job is done and she can rest in Upekkhā, just be at peace with however it's turned out. So I thought that was kind of a neat sort of summary, an analogy to help understand that the different attitudes of mind that